It is an historic day in Ottawa. For the first time ever, women's professional soccer comes to the nation's capital. And finally, after watching all 5 other teams compete, the Ottawa Rapid FC will make their Northern Super League debut. And yes, it is the first installment of the Battle of Ontario, taking on AFC Toronto, who were hoping for a bit of revenge after being upset in their home opener 1-0 by the Montreal Roses. I'm alongside Canadian Hall of Famer and former Canadian international Amy Walsh. 102 caps for country. Amy, this has all the makings to be a great day for Canadian football.
It really does. Forget about the Leafs losing in OT to the Sens. This is the Battle of Ontario that we should all be focused on, right?
It all starts now.
Now, really looking forward to seeing how Toronto, I mentioned it, but we see a more mature, composed performance from them because they really grew into that match against Montreal, against the Roses, who stole one really early on and hung on because AFC Toronto really pushed towards the end. They certainly had the chances and the opportunities, but were unable to convert.
Hit the woodwork a few times, had some narrow misses, but AFC Toronto did not find the back of the net. They will look for the club's first ever goal today, and there's a look at the longtime Canadian international Desiree Scott, the 4th most caps in Canadian women's national team history, 187. Not a surprise that she wears the captain's armband today for the Ottawa Rapid FC in their debut. AFC Toronto kicks us off, and there's that history-making moment from TD Place on the shores of the Rideau Canal, steps away from Parliament Hill. We're underway, Ottawa and Toronto. An energetic start from AFC Toronto. Ottawa will push this away. This will be an interesting opening few minutes here as there's an early foul that comes in that puts our head referee, Sheila Couture, the 33-year-old from Saint-Georges-de-Beauce, just south of Quebec City. She's into action for the first time, so it will be a very interesting start for the Ottawa Rapid. We talked to Katrina Peterson, and she said nerves could be a factor in the early going.
100%. I mean, it's a new thing. I think you saw the meaning even yesterday in Aaron McLeod, where it was almost a heaviness to the performance because this is such a massive thing, a historic thing for Canadian sport, but also for the Canadian players who've been involved for so long.
First set piece, and it's quickly snuffed out by the Ottawa Rapid. However, AFC Toronto is quickly able to get back onto this ball, and a ball is pushed towards Molly Eriksson, the 24-year-old keeper from Stockholm, Sweden, has her first save of the season.
Yeah, that set piece doesn't come off like Emma Regan and AFC Toronto wanted, but very quickly, I mean, we've seen Rapid swarm the ball immediately when Toronto threatened off the kickoff, but right there whipped it back and tested the keeper early on.
Rapid aim to organize themselves in the midfield. Nina Lee taken down, and Ottawa has won a free kick just on the attacking side of half. Certainly saw a number of set-piece goals yesterday in a chilly Wanderers ground in Halifax. Calgary jumping ahead, 3 quick goals within a half hour.
After an opening week where there was a lot of disappointment, I thought, on dead balls, it was a masterclass yesterday from Lydia Bedford in Calgary.
What will we see today here, Amy? You're the specialist here.
You know, I'm not too bothered. I want to see goals as always, but I think I want to see like a team like Ottawa, the last team to, as you're saying, come to the fore and to play their first official match. But I want to see them settle into the game early, shake off those nerves. There are going to be some moments, perhaps some mistakes, but I want to see a team, as Katrina Peterson says, they have their backpack, which is their principles, their philosophy, their identity, but she wants to see them express themselves, not only as individuals, but as a unit, as a collective.
Opportunity for Okoronkwo of AFC Toronto, faces a double team, tries to get through that wall, and that's defended well by the Ottawa Rapid. Okoronkwo plays the patient game. She won a throw-in.
That was Harris there, really resolute defensively, but Okoronkwo, she caused problems for Montreal all game, kind of in fits and starts. See if she does the same today.
Shuri tried to push the ball towards the penalty area. And once again, Ottawa sends us away. We had a look at Trina Peterson, 48-year-old head coach from Denmark, 210 caps for Denmark in her long playing career, a Danish record, by the way, for the Danish Football Federation. Not too much is going to sneak by her in terms of tricks.
No, extremely organized and well prepared and quite measured and when we're speaking with her. But also, you know, forthcoming in what she's sharing with us, and I think the pride in the roster that she's constructed alongside Christina Kiss, the technical director for Ottawa Rapid.
Kayla Hansen, 25-year-old from Burnaby, BC, will play back when it comes to Hong Hei-ji. AFC Toronto's back three will try and advance. Emma Regan, 8 caps for Canada, including 5 starts, has grown into a prominent role under Casey Stoney, wearing the captain's armband for AFC Toronto.
Yeah, Emma Regan's been absolutely incredible, and I think playing against somebody who's vacated that spot, that anchor in that number 6 position, and we're going to see Desi Scott, who didn't officially retire from international play, but will be back and honored in Winnipeg, as Canada will have 2 friendlies versus Haiti, and she will get her due because she is an absolute legend. But she's suiting up for Ottawa Rapid today. But Emma Regan, I think, bringing to life everything that you want in that number 6 role. She's excellent on both sides of the ball, real composure, clever, real footballing IQ in there. So excited to see, again, this is the thing, like a real marquee player and a big get for AFC Toronto.
Regan once again on the ball. Good control in the midfield. She works against Desiree Scott and the Ottawa Rapid. Regan still on the ball, pushes out wide, and good opportunity. Adamick defends for the Rapid. Through the Pickett, push forward, another attempt at goal, and that is sent up and over the woodwork.
Kate mentioned it in the pregame that Milanovic was really impressed with Pickett's work in that opening game at BMO Field last weekend, and she was critical in those transitional moments, whether it was attacking transition or defensive transition. You saw her there just stand pat at the top of the 18 and try to find Nikayla Small. And Nikki Small also came to life last weekend and started to pull the strings on the attack for Toronto.
Good defending from Ottawa there. Tembo is back in the midfield area. Once again sent forward Pickett. Forward to that big battle with Desiree Scott, former teammates in the NWSL, and clearly good friends, as we saw with Camila earlier on today. Call it a friendly rivalry, at least until the first big foul comes in, right, Amy?
Yeah, the first big crunching tackle that involves the two of them.
Won't be so friendly after that, maybe. On controls for AFC Toronto. Chloe Othenberg. Played into the middle, and again, Ottawa looks for its first into possession on the attacking side of things. Once again, one back by Pickett, who has 3 caps for Canada, went back to 2021. International experience as well in the Toronto midfield to go along with Emma Regan.
Yeah, some big matchups in the middle of the park here with some big personalities, some great experience, some really lively players in there, and a little bit different in how it's coming to life.
The veterans and the up-and-comers.
That's right.
Will play over into the middle, taken back by Udenberg. Chloe Udenberg with the right boot, partially deflected, but once again headed back towards Regan, to her left boot. That's a good ball to that far side. Once again sent in. Erickson has got to be attentive in the Ottawa penalty area, and it is out for a goal kick. Again, some more AFC Toronto pressure, who are clearly wanting to get a better start from what had happened last Saturday afternoon.
And a lot more composed on the ball. You know, you saw some loose touches last week, players unsure, looking a lot more self-assured and confident today and connecting a lot better from the outset. And you've got Katembo and Barnett that are providing the width, and you've got Ashuri and Small drifting more centrally into those pockets, and Ashuri kind of operating in those half spaces, connect with Regan there, but her cross was a little bit off the mark.
AFC Toronto, to your point, Amy, 70% in terms of possession right now, so clearly more composed on the ball.
And that's what they want to do. You talk to Milanovic, he wants to dictate the tempo, he wants to be attacking minded, but doing it through possession. I think that Katrina Peterson, wants to do the same, but it might, you know, the way that it all comes to fruition might look a little bit different. And it's all about control too. Like, just because you don't have possession doesn't mean that you're flailing and you're chasing shadows. You can still impose yourself on the game, and I think we're seeing early on Mina Lee is kind of drifting into those pockets. They're defending in two banks of 4 plus DB Pridham and Mina Lee, who's sneaking up in kind of that mid-block pressure, and then you've got the two anchors and the stalwarts in Scott and Gibson, who are holding down and insulating the back lane.
First corner kick of the match comes in the 10th minute. Regan prepares the set piece, and it's a good ball in, headed away by Ottawa. Sit now over the touchline for a Toronto throw-in. That has some potential.
It's got some good pace on it from Emma Regan. Slowed in a little bit, but it's as an attacker, as somebody who is on set pieces and known kind of for scoring with my head or defending, that's the type of ball that you want, that enticing ball that gives them some pace. It just needs a little bit of a touch to deflect it into the back of the net.
DB Pridham, California native, was able to get ahead to the ball first and send it away. Back by Chu. One of two South Koreans in Ottawa's starting 11 today, along with Mina Lee. You mentioned the veteran who has 83 caps for country. Experienced player at the international level. Not received a lot of service yet on the attacking side of the ball for the team from the nation's capital. Finally one back.
And Pridham, desperate to be involved there, is dropping a lot lower to receive, but linking up effectively.
Heavy collision on the far side of the pitch. It is collected by Melissa Forbes, and Adamek disappointed at the decision from the assistant referee. Foul goes against her.
I think I'm surprised that initial foul wasn't called, and then maybe that sets a particular tone, but yeah, your back is to you there, like there's no reason for the foul, but the good news is it's more than 70 yards from your own net, so that's fine. You can accept that.
David Couture, the head official today. Stephanie Fortin, Alicia Carlucci. Two assistant referees with Anne-Marie Canuel as the fourth official today. Both Couture and Fortin were part of the historic officiating team at BC Place, the first ever Northern Super League match. Good pressure from AFC Toronto. That's Katembo, once again causing some problems down this right side.
Good battle there initially with she and Chu. Chu not letting her get the best of her, but they're able to keep possession.
Katembo will once again push this into the penalty area. Regan's ball. No AFC Toronto attackers there. Picked up again by Pickett. Torontonians will look to organize themselves. Campbell's ball. Regan pressured by Desiree Scott, who read it perfectly, and this will allow the Ottawa Rapid FC a little bit of time and breathing room. Chu plays back. Taken by Friedland. Anna Friedland, the Norwegian. Gets into trouble, but does when her side is throwing.
When Katrina Peterson was talking about Friedland, she said there's an elegance about her play. This is a direct quote. She said, "Quickness of mind and feet." And wouldn't we all like to be?
Certainly.
But she said she just glides out there. I think you see glimmers of that so far. But Desi Scott, as she wins the ball back, again, that is where her brilliance lies. She does so many things fantastically well. Will be kind of a pillar that your team is built around there, but she breaks up the play in transition and is able to find feet, connect, and then get her team out of danger, but also create something going the other way. That's what Desi Scott gives you, no matter how old those legs are. There's a lot still yet to give.
A lot left in the tank at 37 years old. Played for the Canadian women's national team for 14 years, a three-time Olympic medalist, including gold in Tokyo.
I do have to say, the Destroyer nickname, it's fabulous. It's perfect. But I think sometimes it does her a disservice because she is more than just expertly timed challenges and, you know, bullying people off the ball. You know, it's all about the defensive acumen. It's all about the organization, the leadership, but the simple, deft maneuvers to get her team out of trouble and to kind of create separation.
I'll give you to the end of the 90 minutes, Amy.
I can continue
to think of a new one.
Oh, no, I don't want to change it. But I was saying I could talk about Desi Scott for the entirety of the match if you wanted me to.
She's got a fierce battle with Regan and Pickett coming right at her, and Toronto has control in terms of possession. Friedland pushes Regan back, and Hong, the 28-year-old center back, plays over to Hansen. By this time yesterday in Halifax, we have already had a couple of goals, so
that's right.
A bit more of a cautious approach in this match. Perhaps not surprising for Ottawa, considering it is their first competitive match together. Did have a couple of exhibition matches, but heard as well that those don't quite replicate the same intensity. It's an opportunity for Asuri. It just runs out of room. Shayna Asuri.
So you're saying too, you know, talking about, you know, how dominant can you be in possession, but are you being purposeful when you have the ball? Are you progressing the ball? Are you breaking lines? Are you creating opportunities? And you're seeing a really well-drilled and organized Ottawa side where, like, the spaces between the team parts, the way that they're sitting back and they're organized, a little bit of a mid-block, as I mentioned, with Lee up there with Pridham, but they're very organized and resolute in their shape.
Mina Lee was able to free the ball up for a moment. Rubenberg will play back to the keeper. That's the first touch of the afternoon for the 27-year-old Sophia Manor, Finnish keeper for AFC Toronto. Here is Scott.
Yeah, Forbes doing well there. Just to recognize she had the safety and numbers in behind. Recycle possession, put your foot on it, give your team a chance to possess the ball a little bit yourselves and see what you can do with it.
Elisa Harris plays to Liv Scott. Longtime Canadian Youth International Liv Scott. What would you like to see here from this Ottawa side as they gather their footing here after now a quarter of an hour?
I'd like to see them, you know, what are those movement patterns going to look like in that attacking third? Maybe get up the pitch, maybe see if they can expose AFC Toronto in some dangerous areas, create some overloads. You've got players like Lee, like Chu, like Friedland who are going to rotate a lot and find those little pockets of space.
Speaking of Friedland and Chu, here is Chu attacking towards the penalty area, but AFC Toronto doing a fine job of backtracking, and Rubenberg will play back, and AFC Toronto will once again quickly eliminate any threat. Still no shots towards goal from the Rapid in this match. Small in the middle of the pitch. Rubenberg plays forward just out of the reach of Esther Okoronkwo. 15 caps for Nigeria on the international side of football. AFC Toronto seems to be content to play the patient game. Pushed to get ahead by Hansen. Down this far side, opportunity to run. Defending Ford. There's a bit of help. Adamick. Finally sent in behind the net. There'll be another Ottawa goal kick.
I think with AFC Toronto as well, as I mentioned, a much more confident, self-assured start by them, just in terms of the way that they're moving the ball around. And that's showing you Milanovic the trust in starting the same 11, but trust in themselves and trust in one another and who's standing alongside you. But it's a balance of espousing this patience. So they're going to circulate the ball. You're seeing a little bit more switch of play. The ball's being played forward like this one. And then it's when you pick your spots, when you weigh that risk versus reward.
Flight comes up from the assistant referee. This is offside on AFC Toronto. Stephanie Fortin with the sharp eye along the touchline. Beautiful day in Ottawa, 17 degrees Celsius. Certainly feels like spring in the nation's capital, unlike the Maritimes yesterday.
Right.
Terrific crowd on hand. Ideal football weather, if you ask me.
Any weather is ideal football weather, Matt.
Well, did you have a preferred temperature?
No,
Sub-zero?
No, absolutely not.
No.
It would be because you want the pitch to do what it's meant to, and the ball to also react in the way that you would expect, and sub-zero temperatures don't allow you to do that. But no, this is near perfect what they have here. But yesterday, what Calgary and Halifax had at the Wanderers grounds is just a perfect day for a slide tackle.
Once again, ball played to the far side. Back into the middle and taken away from Asuri. Regan pursued closely by Mina Lee.
Barnett's been lively on that left side. We saw her quality, her excellence in set-piece delivery last week. But didn't see her on the ball a whole lot. Now she's got a little bit more space to operate and a willingness to get at her defender.
Latest attempt from Kitembo was snuffed out. Udenberg. Pushed back again by Mina Lee, and Hong and Hansen will combine. There's room down that left side, as you mentioned. Barnett charges forward. Stops just before the penalty area. Right boot is in. It has some promise to it. That is Nyota Kitembo. She's been lively to start this match.
Yeah, she has been, and I think it's important for her to get involved really early on. Kind of put that giveaway behind her, which she's probably already done. But again, there's nothing like playing a live game, playing a real contest against another team, another rival in this league. And there, I think she surprises herself at how soon she gets to the ball, had more time than she thought. So she's got that leg out stretch, and it just goes out for a goal kick. But potentially could have cut that back, in the best case scenario, to her own goal.
Ottawa looks for some possession. Victoria Pickett engaged in a battle there, but it's taken back by Ottawa, at least for a brief moment, as it's listed on a foul. Cleared up back into the defensive formation. So another set-piece opportunity for AFC Toronto.
That Barnett set up on the ball with Emma Regan, both of them capable of a really lethal delivery here, but I imagine it'll probably be a little bit of a clip ball, just up and over top that line that the Ottawa Rapid have set.
Regan will take it. The ball is into the penalty area, but sails once again in behind. 4 attempts, none on target for AFC Toronto. holding 65% in terms of possession. But nothing overly threatening to Molly Erickson at the moment. AFC Toronto right on this ball. They went it back to Tembo. Looks towards the penalty area. That's away neatly by the Rapid FC. With a promise to get a handball. Pickett has the ball to Tembo. Will threaten down the right side again. Watch closely. Ball in the penalty area. This is it. The taking is there. The difficult save. But Erickson of the Surrey got a good boost and a good redirect over the woodwork.
We'll see a lot of these opportunities coming off of the high press, and it's exactly what happened. And Katembo does what she has to do is get that ball across. And Ashuri just can't quite get her chest over that to keep it down, but good opportunity and is able to test Erickson.
Goes for another corner kick, the second of the match for AFC Toronto. Barnett, left boot, aims to the top of the penalty area. Ball is there, sends it back to Barnett. Regan, left boot, and it is deflected away. Will be another AFC Toronto corner kick as the Torontonians start to amp up the pressure.
That first free kick, or the corner kick rather, from Barnett gets floated a little bit high, a little bit wide, a little bit wayward where the numbers were at the back post, but Emma Regan tests herself there from close.
This time Toronto will play it short. Sent back in by Colby Barnett, but a high spinner that will find the hands of the keeper. Two-time finalist for the Keeper of the Year, Molly Erickson, playing in League One Ontario. Prior to signing in Ottawa, been by far the busier of the two keepers this afternoon. Now in the 26th minute, that's a dangerous pass. Ottawa fortunate that that wasn't intercepted.
Yeah, they absolutely were, because they know that pressure is coming and they're inviting it, and they're looking to manipulate the opponent and find those little pockets. They're able to break, like that pass that came from Liv Scott to Gibson, but then that ball that Gibson served over to Harris, that was way too close for comfort. I'm sure she'll hear about it from Erickson.
Chu and Harris. Get a pass. It's a slow roller. Chu was unable to advance that. It's been noticed that Toronto has been picking at spots to press, but it's forcing Ottawa into a few turnovers.
It's been effective so far. Good energy, good jump, good physicality shown, and they've been organized in their press as well. So that's why they've been successful in their ability to regain quite high up the pitch, and it's translated into some opportunities on goal.
Regan and Pickett in the Toronto midfield. Sent out wide. This is Hansen. Way back. Kayla Small. Hansen. Barnett. Lots of room down this left side for Colby Barnett. Desiree Scott closes the gap. Barnett's ball is up and over top of the crossbar. Once again, another Ottawa goal kick. Toronto asking more questions as we reach closer and closer to the half-hour mark.
I thought that we'd see them be a little bit more efficient. We know they've got the quality on the attack, but they've tested Erickson, and that they've threatened, they've had opportunities, but the shots have been wayward. The set pieces haven't been as precise as they would have liked.
Once again, quickly won back by AFC Toronto. Barnett down the far side. Adamick closes the gap. Pickett. Barnett. Adamick again. Might have got a hand to that ball. This might be a free kick just outside the penalty area.
I think you're right, Matt. So Adamick faces on, is ready for Barnett, and as she turns her back, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's the old unnatural position. And when you jump, your arms go up, but when you turn your back, your arms should be firmly by your side. So that's where the call comes from. So a free kick, a little bit similar spot or angle than you would get from Regan on a corner kick, but closer and more threatening to goal here. But this has to be better, whether it's Regan or whether it's Barnett on these set pieces or corner kicks. They have to be more precise, and it has to be whipped in with more pace and power.
Thumbs up from the Toronto captain, who pushed that ball back to the original spot of the foul. Maybe not. A little movement over there.
Yeah, but then Friedland hasn't responded, and nor has Eriksson to adjust her position. The old moving the foam trick. Premier League, no foam on the turf as such, but you want to do anything here to give your team an advantage, and Emma Regan is perhaps doing that.
So the Toronto captain, good spot for this free kick, and Eriksson has to push it away. Right on her line. And handled that ball nicely. It had a real threat to it.
Yeah, real venom on it, which is what you want. You need to, so Eriksson's been tested, she's been called upon, but that was a true test. Because you have bodies in there, that's own goal territory. You know, where's that corridor of uncertainty, the goalkeeper's coming out, not too sure if her center backs or players are going to clear it themselves, and that's when you get those deflections.
Missouri surrounded by Ottawa defenders.
And then we get another view of that, but yeah, really well done for Eriksson to move off of her line, come out and confidently call for it and clear it with that right paw.
That was spinning towards that back post. If Eriksson hadn't intervened, that would have been real trouble.
That NFL Olympico territory.
Very close. Barnett once again lively down that left side. Pickett, ball is through, and Eriksson handles that.
I actually like what Ottawa is doing. I mentioned that they are organized, their positioning is good, their structure is sound when AFC Toronto is possessing the ball. Here, but they're finding areas to exploit as well going forward.
Forbes unable to control, and once again, AFC Toronto winning a lot of these battles in the midfield at the moment. Missouri is quickly onto the ball. Hawk. Regan plays back. Hong taken down. That's not a whistle by Chile Couture. That could have been a dangerous moment for AFC Toronto, as this time Mana will just concede a throw-in.
Yeah, you saw G there maybe just take a little bit too long in possession, and DB Prida punished her there and could have had an opportunity, but she didn't have numbers to help her out in that or on that occasion.
She was set to deliver this throw-in in the 32nd minute. Up into the penalty area, and it's there for the taking. Shot towards goal, and pushed away again by Toronto's back line. First time that they've really been threatened, and perhaps not done. Finally sent away, as Ottawa did have numbers in the penalty area that time. Delongpo forces Ottawa to play it back to the keeper, Eriksson.
Well done by Gibson to escape the pressure.
Gibson sends a good ball forward, and this has some promise. Forbes down the right side for Ottawa. Ball is into the middle and taken by Prida, who misses the target in tight.
That was really well executed. A great sequence there by Ottawa Rapid, and driving into space, recognizes that Hansen's closing her down and really cut back with pace. Slightly behind though, so that effort is a little bit wayward, leaning back, trying to get a foot on it, but great spell of possession and some verticality and some pace to the attack by the Ottawa Rapid.
That's what these fans came to see this afternoon.
And everything before that too, but yes, that in particular sequences like that that cause the fan to get up and out of their seats.
Talking to here.
I think that actually looked worse than it was, Matt. We'll see it again here behind Katembo. And I think it looks like Chu kind of drags Katembo down, but I think Katembo would kind of found her way into Chu, like underneath her armpit and underneath her jersey, so that when she moved, it looked like she was being hauled down. I think the referee thought about booking her.
I saw the hand move towards the pocket.
But maybe saw what I saw as well.
So it's just a talking to, not a booking for Ju Woo-Ju. 60 forecast for South Korea. They go on with Nina Lee's 83. Another opportunity for the Rapid, and Johanna Friedland is hauled down, and that will be an Ottawa free kick.
What I like a lot about Ottawa is that, you know, they're calm and they're picking their moments the same way that Toronto is doing so on the press. When Ottawa's going quick, they're doing so with intent.
Nina Lee in the penalty area. Ottawa moves quickly, follows in, and it's sent away by Manor, who had to be attentive to that. Full stretch from the Toronto keeper.
Yeah, that was excellent by Lee. The recognition that she had space to go and the ball across that she forces Manor to contend with.
Looks for Forbes down that far side. They get eliminated by AFC Toronto. And Pickett will organize situation for Toronto. Regan.
I chatted a little bit earlier, Matt, about the setup and the shape that Ottawa is sitting in. They're really well organized, but there's an aggressive nature to it, the way that the numbers are a little bit higher. Almost 3 at the back, and we've got Adamek pushing Forbes higher up, who has been really lively, and she's finding those spaces right on the wide on the right in transition.
Ottawa has looked a little bit more energetic over the last 10 or so minutes, picking their spots, as you mentioned. Toronto has still had the majority of the better chances, some of them from Barnett.
Because you've got Chu dropping into the back line now, but then when they're set up more centrally, you even got Chu aggressive and sneaking up a little bit. That shows trust as well, you know, in the players behind you, but they are knitted together really well at this point.
Cleveland has, that's Adamek, will have a discussion with the head referee about that push in the back. And once again, it's another Toronto free kick. Last few have been promising.
Now a little bit further out, a little bit wider now as a starting position. But can it have that same venom on it, that same, you know, whipped-in quality that caused some issues, be menacing?
Barnett plays to Victoria Pickett. Looking for a shooting lane, instead it's Woodland with the interception, but the pass too far for Mina.
Yeah, it just took too long there. You see what they want to do, change the angle a little bit, unsettle that back line, and then you expect Pickett to then swing it into a similar area at that back post, but just takes too long on the ball. Almost the curse of too much time.
Intercepted by Chu. Try and accelerate this Ottawa attack. Once again, just sent up and over the top. Manor will take over from there, part of the Orlando Pride last year, championship winning side of the NWSL. It's the famous Marta, of course. Wittenberg, the neat pass across, and plays into the middle.
I think you have to see AFC from their perspective, if they want to move, they want to be able to penetrate this Ottawa Rapid well-organized defense, they've got the overload in the middle of the park. Ottawa does. So you're going to have to stretch them. You're going to have to create width and seams in order to exploit that. And they haven't used their width enough on the attack.
Ball, good ball in the penalty area, and it's there for the taking. There's some contact, and it's a foul against AFC Toronto. Shayna Azuri had a good crack at the ball, but then hauled down the defenders.
Yeah, tries to cut that back on her right foot. Yeah, could have gone either way, and I think everybody at TD Place took pregnant pause before they clapped up their own team, and we're happy to see that call going the other way and in their favor.
Now Liv Scott was the first to initiate contact, that hand into the midsection. One back again by Regan. Barnett, lots of room to operate, watched by Scott. Ball in the middle. Curry. Played back, and once again, AFC Toronto looking to the wide areas again. Jumbo. Regan, ultra active again in the Toronto midfield. And Ottawa doing a lot of shifting. Players moving left, right, up and down. It's certainly a well-organized system.
It is. They're staying really well connected, not only between the team parts, but close to one another. So, and it's proven effective as well. So you see Desi Scott able to win the ball back, but then she's got support. So the whistle goes there so we don't see the ensuing play. But they have a bailout. They have an outlet. You've seen Okoronkwo provide that occasionally when Toronto has needed it, but you're seeing it more like Gibson, breaking that pressure and then finding that through ball earlier on for Forbes. But you're seeing it also in their own defensive third. It's a bailout for them.
One back by Ottawa as Forbes and Friedland continue to trade sides left and right. Friedland is back on the left now. Serena Peterson. Friedland looking for the ball. Goes into some contact and has won a free kick.
Yeah, it's a high boot there on Friedland. Ottawa played it quickly last time, and see if they take a similar approach. Try to get the ball into the box.
It's a gusty day in the nation's capital. Winds at 29 kilometers per hour, gusting up to 50. So some of these free kicks could hang up and cause the keeper some problems. That even some of the attackers some problems. It rolls away.
Well, you've got the windsock at the airport, and I have the ponytail indicating like which way it's blowing.
Fortunately, I don't have that luxury. I'll trust your judgment any day. It's the goal kick, and Ottawa is disappointed at that. Thought they had won the corner kick. They might have a point.
They absolutely do. I think some fans saw the same thing.
Scott in the Ottawa midfield. Friedland. Tempo is there. As well to win the throw-in for AFC Toronto. Now just a few minutes before halftime. We await the first goal of this contest. Chu plays back to Harris. The New Jersey native, Jaleesa Harris. Back to Chu. All played forward. Adamick. Accelerate down that far side. Pickett backtracking with an easy interception.
Yeah, Ottawa keeps the pressure, and again, well organized. Players supporting one another, covering each other when they're defending, but even attacking. In those moments, there might be a loose touch. We saw it earlier with Friedland, but she's able to win it back immediately because she has the help of Amina Lee, who's in tight.
7 shots, 1 on target for AFC Toronto. 2 attempts, none on target for the Rapids. We'll try and push this again forward, but no one in the attacking position there.
Milanovic, I mentioned it off the top of his game, and he said that Pickett was a really critical element for them in transition, both attacking and defensively. And today we've seen her do the same, drive the space, be clever, read the game well, but a couple of wayward passes and poor decisions. The first one in at the top of the box, she took too long, but the second one there where she almost put the team in some trouble.
Kayla Small on Desiree Scott. Scott wins that duel. Little flick.
A combination play. We're going to see that a lot, and you're seeing, choose go from the wide spaces into the middle of the pitch, and you're seeing great connection from the Ottawa Rapids.
Ellen Gibson had a long career in Sweden. 18 years playing in professional leagues there for multiple different teams. Teaming up with Desiree Scott in Ottawa's midfield. Winning back a bit of possession. We've now moved into the 45th minute. Not expecting a ton of stoppage time here at the end of this first half, but maybe a chance for Ottawa to attack once more. Ball is in. Plays it forward. Ford looks towards the penalty area, and this time Ottawa does have a corner kick.
Really well worked. So, they're getting into the attacking third, and it's by design. It's great one-touch passing, combination play, players on the half turn finding the spaces, and the recognition of where the space is to exploit. They're doing that. They're playing that to perfection right now, the Ottawa Rapids.
Brilliant also in the conversation. This is Melanie Ford. First corner kick of the match. Right at the end of the first half. Second wave of attack, and it's pushed back. She tries to push forward. Once again, sent back away by AFC Toronto as we have 1 minute of stoppage time before the conclusion of half number one.
Saw in that last attack too, you saw Desi Scott, who had drifted out wide on the right, and I already mentioned that happening with Chu. You're seeing Nina Lee float around. Lots of freedom on the part of the Ottawa Rapids. Again there, that final pass, that final action for AFC Toronto has just been wanting. Could have slipped Okoronkwo in, and instead it's out for a throw.
Adamick play this forward as the head referee, Peter Couture, signals the end of the first half. It's goalless in the nation's capital. Kate, Amy, and Camilla have you covered at halftime on a beautiful Sunday afternoon in the nation's capital.
So I gotta say, Toronto had more chances, more possession, but they must be better in front of the net, right, Amy? Okay. Had more chances over. Yep. Toronto had over 60% possession, only 2 shots. Must be better in front of the net. Okay.
I need help with how.
Toronto had, I'm just going to say, more chances, over 60% possession. They must be better in front of the net. Then, time for our intact insurance move of the half, something that I'd impact. For that, we go to Welcome back to the NFL on TSN Halftime, presented by BMO. Kate McKenna and Amy Walsh with you. And the score at TD Place, 0-0 at the half. Amy, would like to know your general thoughts on what you just saw.
Well, we talked about advantages and like where it would lay before this match, and I think you're seeing an Ottawa team that is really supremely confident in their own abilities, but also in their tactical approach and one another. Like, they're just, to me, brimming with confidence, even though they're out of possession. They're comfortable, they're almost belligerent and organized.
Which is impressive, especially for a first game, because we've seen nerves from other teams in their debut. So especially impressive. I want to talk about Toronto, though, because they had over 60% possession, but they've got to be better in front of the net, don't they?
They do, because they're getting into those areas, and that's because they're staying a little bit narrow. I think they can expose Ottawa and stretch them width-wise a little bit more. But they've been in control and they've had the touches in the box, so they've threatened. But they've lacked a little bit of conviction and ruthlessness, not only on the final ball, but the final action, whether that's a shot or a cross. So, you know, they have occupied that offensive third, but it's what are they doing? And I think that shot there from Regan, I think it has the pace on it, gets deflected. But here, I think it almost has too much time. That ball is played short so that you can shift things in terms of Ottawa's setup, and it never gets served up. It never gets served in. You have the numbers there that have to go in. We've seen that from Pickett a couple of times where he's had too much time and then made the wrong decision thereafter.
We just saw a poor set piece, but we did in fact have a pretty good set piece, which is our Intact Insurance move of the half, something that had impact, and that would be Emma Regan's free kick, which really forced Molly Erickson to be on her toes.
Yeah, practice doesn't always make perfect, but it sometimes makes progress, and you saw that they got a couple of cracks at it, whether it was Barnett or Regan, and you saw the pace. This is whipped in, and whether your own player gets on that or gets a deflection, that is what you want. That causes Barnett to be a little bit uncertain, and sometimes that gets in the back of the net.
Well, keeper Molly Erickson was pretty good in that first half, and she's now standing by with our Camila Gonzalez.
Molly, the first ever match being played here in Ottawa, you had some big saves in that first half. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling honored. I'm feeling inspired. It's so cool to see all these people out here and playing in front of my hometown.
And, you know, playing in front of that home crowd, what's the team feeling like? How do you feel what you've seen in that performance in that first half?
I feel like we really got the energy from them. So when we regained possession, we were moving the ball really well. We heard the crowd cheering us on. I think it gave us the confidence to move forward, and we had some really exciting chances at the end.
Amazing, Molly. Good luck in that second half. Thank you.
Amy, you know when you meet someone and you're like, how are they so talented in so many different ways?
That's nice, Kate. Thank you.
You're welcome, Amy. I was going to talk about Molly Erickson, 24 years old. She's represented Sweden at the youth international level. She's got a degree in neuroscience, and she's getting her PhD.
No big deal.
So, well done, Molly.
Also a pretty good keeper.
Okay, well, listen, let's talk about Ottawa for a second and their counterattacks, because they haven't won the possession battle, but when they've gotten the ball, they've looked threatening at times.
Yeah, Katrina Peterson wanted them to be forward-minded and aggressive, and they've done it in the attacking phases. They're kind of belligerent and organized, which is the way I describe Nottingham Forest for any Premier League fans, but here they're going vertical, they're going direct, they're going with purpose. I really liked it. And they've connected with one another. There have been very few wayward passes, looking to see where the spaces are and exploiting it. So you don't get it into the box, but you threaten here in a different way. So you've seen a nice variety in their attack.
That's also how I describe myself, belligerent and organized. Look at these fans having the time of their life. Listen, we have so much more to come. You're watching the NFL on TSN. Lots more coming up. Stay with us. This Northern Super League match is supported by Toyota, proud founding partner of the NSL. Welcome back to the NSL Halftime presented by BMO. Now, you know, this isn't the only match taking place today. We've got more for you. At 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, two undefeated teams go head-to-head as Vancouver hosts Montreal. And Quinn was the hero for the Rise in that game. Tanya Boychuk, the hero for Montreal. Looking ahead to next week, three games to tell you about. On Thursday, Calgary continues their road trip, visiting Toronto after a decisive win against the Tides last night. Saturday, Montreal hosts Ottawa in their home opener. And on Monday, the Halifax Tides will try to redeem themselves against the Vancouver Rise. As for today's game, 0-0 at the half in Ottawa. Fans know there is lots more to come. Molly Erickson's been tested by Emma Regan, though. We'll see if their chances and the Tides will turn in the second half. 0-0 at the half, lots more to come. We have much more action right after this. Matt and Amy will bring you the call next. This Northern Super League match is supported by Canadian Tire, proud founding partner of the NSL.
Between AFC Toronto and the Ottawa Rapid FC after 45 minutes of play at TD Place. Beautiful afternoon, and these fans here to witness some history, and of course they'd like to see a little bit more history. And for the home side, that would be the first ever Ottawa goal in Northern Super League play. 3 shots for Ottawa, none on target. 7 attempts for AFC Toronto, 1 on target. Erickson fresh into action with a few big moments and credited with 1 save. Let's start with the home team. What would you like to see different here, Amy Walsh, in the second half?
I think more opportunities that we saw them develop in transition particularly. I'd like to see them because they've been effective in their possession. They've played well, they've connected well, but can they progress the ball? And, if the space isn't there to be taken, can they recycle the ball and maybe set up in the attacking third and see what comes up that way? Because so far the opportunities they have gotten, and I think Katrina Peterson has got to be pleased with what she's seen from her team defensively, especially in their shape and what they've done going forward when they've won possession, but threaten a little bit more consistently, try to pull AFC Toronto apart a little bit and get into the box more, really attack it.
The other big question is for the two managers, will there be any changes at the half? AFC Toronto made 2 changes only in its opening match against the Montreal Roses, a 1-0 defeat. Did see the 17-year-old Katie Hunter, Calgary, Alberta, come in and look effective midway through the second half. So we'll see what Marko Maranovic has in store for today.
Yeah, I'm thinking about Amanda West, who's already down and back in Houston to get her surgery and to continue her rehab there. So thinking about her, and obviously a terrible thing as part of the game in general, but particularly the women's game, so they're down a threat on their front line.
Serious knee injury for Amanda West, and wishing her a speedy recovery and hope to see her back on the pitch sooner rather than later. What do you think the message was from that woman right there, Trina Peterson, after a first half that saw Ottawa with, yes, a few chances, but only 38% of possession?
I think it was keep it up, keep more of the same. I think, you know, we were worried about nerves based on the precedent that had been set in week 1 and then also the game yesterday. So I think you have to be pleased with that, but can they build on it now and produce kind of more threat consistently, as I said, and is provoking a little bit more on the attack and not just in transition.
Who do you think's winning the midfield battle so far? Scott, Pickett, or is someone else standing out for you?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that AFC Toronto has been able to dictate, but a little bit deeper when you've got Regan there or Pickett occasionally driving into that space as she's wont to do. But I think I have to give the edge to Ottawa at this point because they have got the numbers in there. They're really well organized, and they've thwarted any attempts to break lawns. We know that Emma Regan is really good to do that, whether she's on the dribble or on the pass. And Ottawa Rapid, in the way that they've set up, has not allowed her to do that.
Let's begin half number 2 in the nation's capital, with Ina Lee sending it back. We will see if either team has a goal or two to celebrate over the final 45 minutes. Desiree Scott, the Ottawa captain, onto the ball quickly. She returns the longtime Canadian national team star. Chu into the middle, Ina Lee, another nice little piece of footwork there between the two South Koreans.
They will always be seeking that out, trying to create those little overloads and little 1-2s, little back heels, little flicks to try to get their team into some dangerous areas. But the way that they attack there on the left flank, Ottawa Rapid, I think Toronto could take their cues from that, the way that they're moving inside, pulling bodies there, then moving the ball back outside to exploit the space that they're creating. They're manipulating the opponent more effectively, I think Ottawa is at this point, than AFC Toronto, where it's not a pedestrian attack, but it's become a little bit predictable. And then if you are getting into the box, that's fine, but they don't have the ruthlessness and the conviction in their finishing so far for it to pay dividends.
So looking for a first shot on target as well. Bird. Plays to Katembo. Good pace down that far side. Scott is there with teammates to intercept and play back. Scott again. Chu, Friedland. Some trouble there with that challenge. Singer. Play allowed to continue. Powerful header from Desiree Scott. Now Lee and Chu once again looking to combine.
And I think you're seeing a team, if it's not starting with Erickson, if they're starting a little bit further up in their own third, that there's a confidence about this team that they're going to be able to break Toronto's press. And so far they've done so with great composure. Like they don't really seem that bothered by the individual pressure that AFC Toronto is putting on them.
Picking out that AFC pressure, comes into the middle. Pickett and Regan looking for that opportunity. Tembo plays back.
That's interesting. That ball, if she looked up, I think, prior and scanned to receiving, you had a Nikki Small that was ready to break on the right in front of Katembo, but she elects to play it back.
Ellen Gibson Did well to intercept. Ooh, there's a hard tackle right in the center circle. That goes undetected.
Barnett does really well there.
She's attacking right now in the penalty area. Played back to Nikki Small towards goal. Great goal from Erickson. And Ottawa sends it away. Second save of the match for Molly Erickson. Some of the attention was turned back towards the midfield area where there was that crunching tackle, and both players slow to get up.
Yeah, and then Barnett did really well to get around Forbes and send a square ball across that I think Nikki Small could have smashed first time, but elects to take a touch, and that permits the Ottawa Rapid time to get back and get numbers around the ball to sort it.
Regan goes down, Barnett follows up into the penalty area, left-footed cross. Time out the other side. Colby Barnett led all players in the first half with 6 crosses. And that doesn't include corner kicks. Really one of Toronto's main threats here. Here's another look at the situation here.
Yeah, if that first touch had been perfect, you know, that she doesn't have to stop, hesitate, gather herself again, and get her body kind of underneath her before she shoots.
There's an opportunity for AFC Toronto right in the penalty area. Ottawa does well to recover, but only on a half clearance. Taking back Pickett. Shuri was there as well. Had 2 shots in the first half. Tembo plays in. Ball is into the middle. It's intercepted neatly again by Ottawa's back line, but once again not cleared. Pass it straight to the heart of the penalty area. Small is there for AFC Toronto. Barnett. Some more pressure coming from Toronto. Hansen. Push to the back, plays the ball forward, and the rapid intercept with Scott, who will look to try and calm the pace. The more Toronto pressure, and that forces Ottawa into some errors.
There was no reason for that. Maybe the pass from Desi Scott was a little bit too close to Okoronkwo for the defender's liking, but had time to take a touch and to get her wits about her before she played that one touch.
This one taken by Regan, but over the touchline, and Emma Regan shows a little frustration. Toronto's come close a couple of times. Forbes trying to link up Ottawa. AFC Toronto really doing a fine job of pressing, but here's Pridham. Coming back, yes. You know how she feels about it?
Well, it wasn't the F word that we were expecting. That was flop, that she said. But I think the frustration as well there. Well, yeah. I think she catches her because she's coming in blind. So I don't believe that the Toronto player sees her come in. I think that's Barnett. So I'm not sure there was much embellishment on it, but Dee Pridham was displeased with the referee's late whistle.
The Toronto free kick, 53rd minute. Played up and over the top, and too far there for Okoronkwo, Nigerian international with 6 goals for country. Look at the Paris 2024 Olympics. Also in the last FIFA Women's World Cup as well, helped Nigeria into a stingy 0-0 draw with Canada. That's some opportunities, but hasn't been able to convert.
Milanovic is talking about going with the same 11 again, no changes from that opening week loss to the Montreal Roses, and he said full trust, full confidence in these players. I think that was part of the message he wanted to send, but he also said these players can play so much better than they have done. So there's a bar internally, there's a standard for each of these individuals, but also collectively what they want to do, what they're seeking to do in the way that they're playing, what their identity is. So I think you're seeing it in fits and starts, but I think you're also seeing a bit of a plodding nature to their attack. There's no moments of acceleration, that turn of pace where you're going quick, and then also sometimes just putting your foot on the ball and slowing things down. It's been 1 year only for AFC Toronto.
Well, still lots of time to try and find some different gears. However, attack here is taken away by Ottawa. Sent out to the midfield area. That's where Regan waits along with Pickett. Sent ahead. Rudenberg. Tembo. No joy down the side on that latest rush. Sent back. Nina Lee. Some room to operate for Ottawa towards the penalty area. Just keeps going. Takes the he's got it! Ottawa's first ever Northern Super League goal. Nina Lee.
That is a highlight we will see over and over and over again. And what quality and patience and technique and skill shown by Nina Lee. But full credit from one midfielder back in the day to another now playing the modern game in Ellen Gibson for that line-breaking pass to find Nina Lee to feet, and Lee with a recognition to turn to drive at that AFC backline. Just tremendous individual skill shown. And the other, I think that DB Pridham taking the defenders away, creating the space for, and 3 AFC Toronto players in her way, but she finds that seam, that little bit of daylight. And you think maybe that Manor only gets sight of it late, but it didn't matter. That was getting tucked into the corner all day long.
He just kept running, and the lanes kept opening up, and then a terrific finish for the Republic of Korea International. And just look at what that moment means to these players, these fans, and this city. 1-0 Ottawa Rapid FC.
We've seen flashes of how technically adept she is and her exceptional off-the-ball movement, and I think that whole sequence is basically what Nina Lee is going to offer the NSL in its inaugural year, and the Ottawa Rapid are chuffed right now that she's wearing their colors. I said chuffed.
You did. I'm going with it. Well, that certainly changes the dynamic now for AFC Toronto. They've had the majority of the chances, but were burned on a moment of quality from Nina Lee, and now for the second straight match, trail a 0-0 in the second half. Gibson tried to push this back to Chu. It's taken away, and Tembo trying to charge down that far side. Back into the middle. Ball played through. But once again, no one on the receiving end for AFC Toronto.
And Pickett floating around there, looking to get a little bit of space, maybe a ball slipped through for her, but a little bit too much weight and power on that ball. You know, a little bit more finesse. But you know, with the ball being worked on that right side and Pickett drifting a little bit forward, the Katembo small partnership really hasn't played out. We saw Katembo exit the game around about the hour mark last week, but Nikki Small really came to life at BMO Field and offered her team an outlet and offered her team somebody who's going to be a creative force.
Look at this. Pridham runs into a heavy tackle there on the throw-in, but that one from Chloe Udenberg. High impact collision.
We haven't seen Nikki Small on the ball a lot, and she hasn't sought it out in the way that she did. She forced her way into being involved, forced her way into being influential. And today, I don't know if we've called her name a whole lot, Matt.
Still 30-odd minutes to try and change that. She is now Small, but runs into Ottawa's midfield. Scott Gibson. Good pursuit, though, from Nikki Small. Eventually taken down. The referee will bring the ball back. Give the AFC Toronto side that free kick. Rubenberg. To Tempo. Ball in.
One by Harris, yeah. So you saw there, even though Small is able to win the foul, there were 4 Ottawa Rapid players around her. And to me, that's a testament to their work rate, but also their organization and their communication, the way that they've been knitted together. So when they're sitting in their shape, we've seen it less so through the first part of the second half, where they've been on the ball a little bit more. But no matter where they are on the pitch and they're losing the ball, they've got numbers that are able to swarm AFC Toronto.
Tempo does a good job saving that ball on the touchline, but here's the goal scorer, Nina Lee. On this side, Emma Regan says, no, you will not do that again. Takes her off that ball.
Yeah, good resolve, good tenacity by Emma Regan. Recognized she let that ball run across her body right into the path of Nina Lee, but wins it right back for her team.
Tembo, once again, trying to find something down that far side. So far here, Amy, has come up empty.
Yeah, there's been very little link-up play, very little connection. You've seen some glimmers of play in the wide areas from AFC Toronto, but particularly in these opening 15 minutes to the second half, you haven't really seen Okoronkwo get on the ball, connect, lay it off, sit around, try to find the ball back in space, get in behind and threaten, weaponize that space. We just haven't seen it from Toronto.
1 hour now behind us from the nation's capital. Barnett on the line. Erickson pushes him right back into the penalty area. Okoronkwo's there and just misses. There's that chance for Esther Okoronkwo and just misses the target.
That's a decent opportunity. Isn't able to wrap her foot around the ball, and you see Desi Scott pointing.
Yep.
I don't know if that's the case where you get the aerial view. We don't have a chip in the ball. We can't tell, but perhaps there was still a portion of the ball that was touching or at least in contact with that byline. But I think all of Ottawa Rapid didn't go to sleep there or switched off, but they thought that ball was out before it was played in, and Okoronkwo had her chance.
Here's Pickett. Small into the middle. Nikki Small plays back to Pickett. Campbell's ball is in, and there is the finish. No! The whistle comes from the assistant referee. This is going to be called back on offside as Ottawa dodges a second straight bullet.
Collects the ball from Katembo just inside the 18 on that right side. And then you see Ottawa's line here with Scott. It looks maybe like Okoronkwo's got a little bit of a lead on her there, but it's too tight from her angle. You'd have to see it even with them. That's a tight call.
That is a very close call. AFC Toronto now with lots of momentum. Katembo into the penalty area, and that off the side netting. 3 straight danger chances, and this is a corner kick.
Yeah, this is better. Again, the curse of the analyst or the commentator when I said, they were lacking a little bit of variety, a little bit of change of pace, turn of pace in their attack. And you're seeing it. You're seeing also players like Barnett and Okoronkwo get more involved, get the ball to feet, and then spray it back out wide for crosses, and the wide players getting to the byline and making things happen for Toronto.
4th corner kick of the match for Toronto, and Barnett short. Easily intercepted and cleared away by the Rapids. This hit by Udenberg and played back into the penalty area. This one goes right across the face of goal. A really dangerous opportunity. That was Regan.
I don't know if that was Regan. It was Nikki Small, and then he had more time on it. You might be right. Maybe it was Regan. I didn't recognize the ponytail. I thought it was maybe Hansen, but maybe had more time than she thought. Maybe take a touch or instead of a shot, cross it back across. But I think there, like, you're seeing Toronto find some opportunities, and it looked initially like it was a wayward pass as that ball gets cleared by Ottawa to Katembo, and then it just gets by the Ottawa defender, which allows Small to get in behind.
So just like in the first match, Katembo comes out just after the hour mark, and there is the 17-year-old Kaylee Hunter, mainstay with the Canadian under-17 team. So, member of the Whitecaps Academy as well.
He gave them an instant lift last week at BMO Field when she came onto the pitch, and hearing Milanovic saying he thinks she's the best 17-year-old in the country at this point, and from her first touch, she was eager to get turned, to face forward, to take players on, to make things happen for her team. So she'll give them a spark here, hopefully just energy-wise, but quality-wise as well.
At 29 minutes on the pitch at BMO Field last weekend. So Hunter is in, and Aoi Kazaki, who played 10 minutes against the Montreal Roses last weekend, will also come in for a bit of a longer run this time as Marko Milanovic looks for that equalizing goal, but certainly Toronto has been much better over the last 5 or 6 minutes. Perhaps you might even say hard done by that they haven't equalized the match. Got Pickett also come out of the game as well. So a double substitution. There is some movement on the Ottawa touchline as well. Ottawa looks to make a change as well to counter that. Small. There's Ray Scott and Gibson turn that back. The ball is in the penalty area and headed down but not cleared. It's a close opportunity. That's Hunter's first touch of the match, and it's into the arms of Eriksson.
Yeah, Emma Regan, I think initially that combination play with Nikki Small just at the edge of the box on the right-hand side, caught a stud or something late, trying to walk it off at this point. But you're seeing Toronto trying to create a little bit more through the spine, through the center of the pitch, trying more combination play, but the goal that was called off for Okoronkwo being offside, I'm surprised that you're not seeing them try that a little bit more, where the ball's played in just atop the box, out wide again, and then whipped in just behind that back line for an on-rushing Okoronkwo.
So Katrina Peterson makes her own double substitution, bringing in Norwegian defender Silan Holland and Stella Downing will also come in, the 21-year-old on the attacking role. And Forbes and Johanna Friedland out there. Afternoons come to an end, leading 1-0 their Ottawa Rapid.
Good turn there.
Opportunity to run. Down the far side, Okoronkwo is into the penalty area, but a good sliding challenge will result in an AFC Toronto corner kick.
That is what Toronto need more of from Okoronkwo, is running at players, using her pace, getting by them, getting to goal, whether that's trying her luck herself or they're playing it off to somebody, playing a square ball, needs to get involved more in order for this attack to have some success.
Great timing from Gibson there, but turns into the 5th corner kick of the match. Barnett this time a little more air under this ball, looking to the back post. Okoronkwo plays it forward, and it was there for the taking. But no AFC Toronto player at that post.
No, had the numbers at the back post perhaps, but Okoronkwo does really well to get up and over Desi Scott to win that initial ball. But as you said, all the numbers were drifting towards where the ball was played. We needed more players back across the face of goal.
Kaylee Hunter had the best crack at it, just unable to get a boot to it. Udenberg plays forward. Curry all towards the penalty area. Udenberg faces 2 Ottawa defenders. Plays back. Kaviki's first touch of the match. She operates down this far side. It's one a deep throw in for Toronto, who continue to push for the equalizing goal. goalless for the first 2 matches so far. Harris having to do some defending. That was an awkward exchange. Okawanko is right there and topples over Erickson. This could be a real opportunity for the Rapids. Into the penalty area. Downing plays back. And Britton looking for some support. Just couldn't quite pull the trigger. Rapid had numbers as well, but no shot.
As a striker, you're in the box. Do not turn back away from goal. Keep going towards goal. That's where all the good things happen.
Speaking of going towards goal, AFC Toronto. Long cross to Barnett, and that is a risky challenge right at the edge of the penalty area. Barnett goes down. Ball comes not back in the penalty area, headed towards goal, and this will be a goal kick. That was the center back, Liv Scott, flying in.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much she knew. Still, she's a glance down. She's aware that Barnett's there, and that is in the area.
Totally.
So you're playing with fire there if you're Liv Scott. Luckily, nothing comes of it.
You put the decision into the hands of the referee. Penalty or no penalty. And it goes Ottawa's way this time. Crossing over to the 71st minute. D.B. Pridham is shaken up. Needs to receive some medical attention here. An opportunity here with just under 20 minutes to go before stoppage time for these two teams to collect themselves here with the latest exchange of Hong and Pridham, and that's stung.
Yeah. This is precautionary, taking a look, because it's the head. You get somebody on immediately. The way to do it. You also have that substitution available if you need it. That as an extra one for concussions. But it's been an interesting match. Matt, I don't know if you agree with me, but you know the momentum swings and the ebbs and the flows of the match, and we've seen Ottawa really have success in those transitional moments. They've managed them well defensively, and they've had success going the other way. And you have to think with Mina Lee pulling the strings on the other one, and that pass comes in to D.B. Pridham, she could have done a little bit more there.
First of all, Amy, how could I not agree with you?
I'm forcing you. It's the first thing.
All playing with 42% possession. They've had to pick their spots, and they got a tremendous moment of quality. And that's been the difference in the match so far.
But it's a team, they've been unfettered. They haven't been bothered by the amount that Toronto has had the ball. And then you've seen, you know, some chinks in the armor perhaps in the last 10 minutes. When I was talking about Nikki Small not really getting on the ball.
Pridham is back on the pitch and running right at the Toronto defense again. Sends the ball out wide, and that's Downing, and Downing is just unable to get onto the ball. Had that good opportunity earlier. And it's taken back.
Can you send Naomi, Mia, and Mel?
Maybe foreshadowing for subs to come there,
yes,
Matt, on the audio.
Sounds like we're getting a little sneak peek into here. What might be on the way. Barnett. That's some of Toronto's best opportunities here this afternoon. Lays back Regan. Obi Barnett. Again goes deep with that left boot. Another good ball right in for Small. Ball is there, and it comes to Erickson as it pinballs around inside the 6-yard box.
AFC Toronto, you're seeing Barnett, who's got that conviction to go. She's determined that she's going to get to that byline, and the service has been good. A couple of opportunities, the previous one where Okaronko had that left-footed try, doesn't quite get her foot through it or wrap it around it, and there Nikki Small almost results in something.
That's now 11 crosses on the day for Barnett. Nobody else on her team has more than 3.
They have lacked, and we spoke about it at halftime with Kate, a little bit of assertiveness in those final actions, but I think especially in the final decision, whether it's the shot or the cross, just missing, yes, the quality, but it's almost like the conviction and the numbers around it to support the players as well. You see Barnett, you've got Regan who's in close, offering an option for some combination play. Then you've got 2 other players in the box. Maybe just have the other numbers, the back line, the rest of the midfield a little bit closer to try to overwhelm Ottawa a little bit more.
15 or so minutes to go before stoppage time. The Ottawa Rapids try and hang on. And the next, hoping that decision would go a different way. Then you got to look at the big crowd this afternoon along the Rideau Canal. TD Place. Barnett able to elude one challenge, plays forward. Goes down to the reach of Hunter. Plays quickly back in on the throw-in. Okoronkwo. Ball right into 2 Ottawa defenders. Does this ball go out? Maybe not. It will be a Toronto throw-in instead of corner kick. Barnett again. Regan tries to settle for control. Back. Firstly back to Hansen. And ball headed away by Chu, pardon me. Once again, Toronto will have another throw-in.
With Pickett out and Kazaki in, you're seeing Emma Regan a little bit higher up the pitch and trying to exert her influence on this game a little bit more by pulling the strings in this attack, and you do need a profile like her who could pull the trigger if needed. We saw her test Karpenko versus Montreal last week and kind of pop up a little bit higher where she could be dangerous for Toronto.
Curry had a chance, unable to put a boot to it. Comes back Hansen. Shifting to Barnett. Been dangerous all afternoon. This time cuts towards the middle. All plays in the penalty area, and Desiree Scott wanted that to go for a goal kick. Didn't happen. It's taken back by Hunter. No. That would be a foul on the 17-year-old.
I think she knew exactly who it was when she was going into that duel. But, you know, still gives Desi Scott a little bit of a high five there, but being a thorn in her side, exactly as was expected and as Milanovic wants her to be, that she's going to buzz around and she's going to be bothersome, she's going to be an irritant, but she's also going to have the quality when the ball's on the foot.
Well, the fans will always remember this moment. Mina Lee, a terrific individual effort, quality finish, and Ottawa had that game-breaking moment. Mina Lee's afternoon comes to an end in the 77th minute.
Just a tremendous performance by Lee, and then you see a little bit of a tactical substitution, a more defensive-minded player who's going to slot into that midfield and be able to insulate that back line.
Julia Benatti comes into the net. There's a dangerous cross right into the heart of the penalty area again. Gronko did put a ball into the back of the net, but it was called back on an offside 15 minutes or so ago. Remains Ottawa 1, Toronto 0. Late stages, second half.
what stage you are in the game. Like, how do we manage this game effectively? You've got 3 Toronto players in front of you, but you get to the byline anyway. I thought you maybe was going to turn around, recycle the ball a little bit, chooses to continue to go forward and win your team a corner kick.
Gibson in the technical area. Ottawa prepares for the corner kick. 2. Ball is in, sent away by AFC Toronto. Another ball sent in. Excellent save. Ball is loose. Pridham is in. Oh, a terrific shot. Manor was able to get a toe to it as Pridham was spinning, falling away, and couldn't really get good quality on the second attempt. Close call.
Really close call, and Manor spills it. And I don't know if Pridham, similar to that rush they had earlier where Minali broke through and she was able to feed Pridham the ball in the box. I think there she has more time than she thinks. But it's the nerves again manifesting themselves in a couple of different ways, where a player who has been recognized and singled out by Katrina Peterson for finishing ability or hunger near goal, just rushing things a little bit too much.
There's some lanes starting to open up here for the Ottawa Rapid. Toronto continues to push players forward in search of the equalizer. Here's a chance to run for the Rapids. Now just outside of the penalty area. Adamick looks towards the middle. Ball is in behind goal. The goal kick for Manor. Finally in the 56th minute. The big difference maker right now. Regan hunting against Benatti in the midfield, but once again, Ottawa. Downing leaves it off. Opportunity just outside of the penalty area to strike. There's a fine save from Manor, diving to her left, and it's another Ottawa corner kick, the third of the match on the way.
Benatti doing really well there to take that touch, open it up and try to curl it past Manor, just to her left, seeking out just a stanchion on that right side, but really well done by Ottawa to set up this opportunity, because it was a ball won first, a long ball by Manor, finds Desi Scott, they're able to connect and open up space on the left-hand side.
Substitute Julia Benatti. Another corner kick in the penalty area, looking towards that back post, and flipped on, and Manor off the crossbar. The ball just close to the net, and it's in the back of the net.
Doesn't have a goal with the women's national team. Has played in so many World Cups and Olympics. 4th all time for Canada. And she gets her team perhaps the win here as they double their lead. But she gets a goal for the Ottawa Rapid in their inaugural match at home. This is what it's all about. This is incredible. The great ball swung in by 2. You get a great first ball that's run at the back post, and Desi Scott has been set up on Manor to try to disrupt just a little bit, but she pops off the goalkeeper and is able to get the initial deflection with the outside of her boot and then follows it up. And Haiti is almost able to keep that from going into the net, but Desi Scott is determined that that is going to cross the line, and that it does. Gets it in. Incredible.
What a sequence of events, and you know she's going to celebrate it.
I love it. You know, you have big marquee players, well-known names of the game that are going to be the critical link between the lesser-known players and the upstarts and the names that we don't even know yet for the Northern Super League. And Desi Scott, Erin McLeod, Quinn, and others are going to be essential in doing that. So you got to love to see her rewarded for it.
That is a big-time goal. Had to fight for it as well. Off the keeper, off the bar. Hong was there, and it finally just tipped over the line. 187 caps for Canada. Leaf, but takes her all of 80-odd minutes.
Maybe
Season 1 of the Northern Super League.
and maybe a sign of things to come in Winnipeg when she's honored with the national team.
Now, wouldn't that be something? Right now, it's Ottawa 2, Toronto 0. And Ottawa has certainly been the more energetic side as of late. Doubled the lead. Small runs at Gibson. Once again, dumped up and over the top.
And just seeing Gibson there on camera and finishing waxing poetic about Desi Scott. I did mention off the top that I could talk about it all game long, and so with that insurance goal, she ensures that I get to do that. But those two in the middle of the pitch for the Ottawa Rapid, as she passes the captain's armband onto a name that she shares with Olivia Scott at the back. She will be clapped up, but tremendous work alongside Ellen Gibson in the middle of the pitch for the Ottawa Rapid today. They really bossed the midfield for Ottawa.
How about that reaction?
This AFC Toronto team is a little bit jangled right now. They found their footing early. We knew that they would have had, the benefit of having played last week, and maybe they had the upper hand on this Ottawa side. But they came in, Ottawa did, with some confidence. They were self-assured. They were well organized, and they translated that into 2 goals. And an incredible performance at home.
Maybe a chance at a third. Downing left down that far side. Story's afternoon come to an end as April Latane comes in, 19-year-old from Ajax, Ontario. And Ottawa also made a change as well. Scott coming out with some heroics. Bernardi happy just to push this ball forward. Been a lively second half for the Rapid. Only had 3 attempts, none on target after the first 45 minutes. This is sent up, taken by Hunter. Kaylee Hunter in the penalty area, but 3 Ottawa defenders deal with her. 6 attempts, 4 on target for the Rapid in the second half alone. A big reason why. It's Ottawa 2 and Toronto 0. Closing minutes now. There's also been a couple of promising set pieces from Ottawa, and that one there results in Scott's first in the Ottawa debut.
There should never be a free header on that initial win at the back post.
Test the run again. Right from distance. That one 40 yards or so out. Handled by Manor. Again to the ball. Her first opportunity to get onto the ball. And up and over the top. McCann plays that to Small. Downing defending. In the 89th minute. Ottawa's defense has bent, but has not been broken. It's mostly limited the chances. Amy has also got some quality saves from Erickson.
Yeah, they really have. they've looked, I think it's been a comprehensive performance by Ottawa. When they've been tested, they rose to the challenge. Everybody's chipped in. I think it's been a real complete performance from them so far. I mean, they haven't seen it through yet. They're getting close, but so far so good.
Kaylee Hunter, the latest opportunity. Hansen towards the top of the penalty area. Now a drive towards goal, and Erickson had to be attentive to that as Regan on the latest drive.
It's a mystery to me, though, why you get that ball, that great line-breaking ball from Hansen directly into the feet of Okoronkwo. You get a dangerous shot off of it, and it's the first that we've really seen of it through the entirety of this game. So a lot of questions I think I have, certainly as the analyst, for the decision-making of this Toronto team. We know the pieces are there, the quality's there, but the execution has been lacking.
Hoping for some late game heroics. Barnett plays up and over the top. Latane circles, looks for time. Ball is in the penalty area. There was some contact there as Ricky Small spun around and knocked down. But not enough for any further discipline. 5 minutes of stoppage time is shown to end off this afternoon.
Wins the ball, gets knocked over for trouble. 5 minutes seems a bit heavy for me for stoppage time. I don't know how you feel about it.
We've had a lot of activity in the second half.
Yeah.
A couple of goals, some chances. We also had the medical intervention as well. AFC Toronto will take it. Ottawa might not be as happy. Wonkwo plays over. Some aggressive defending.
Well done by Loftus to win that ball, but you see now Okoronkwo maybe too little too late. Finding space, being elusive between the lines, but we just haven't seen it enough.
Played into the middle. Now AFC Toronto will hope for something late. Barnett plays back. Kizaki. Ball is again into the penalty area. There's been some opportunities here for the substitute. Lantain.
Yeah, Kizaki pulling the strings from that deeper line position has been able to spray the ball wide and find some space to exploit in behind. That time for Lantain, and I think Okoronkwo just gets a touch to it, or no, it's Lofthouse who just throws Lantain off enough.
Ball flick on the ball. Opportunity for them to once again run at the Toronto back line. With Downing. Stella Downing set down. Throw into Toronto. We're into the 3rd minute of stoppage time.
Ottawa must stay switched on here. We saw him, I think, a little bit too comfortable in allowing Kizaki to break pressure and switch the ball, find some space on the opposite side. Should have been in a little bit tighter, not throwing bodies forward just for a throw, but just in a little bit more comfortably and more organized defensively.
Here's an opportunity for AFC Toronto in the penalty area. Play back to Small, takes a touch and a second touch, and half clearance from Ottawa, sent towards goal again, and Erickson tracks it the whole way.
I think earlier the deflection that it went off Lofthouse's head, it should have been a corner kick for AFC Toronto, but nobody really put up any fuss. Nobody really complained, so maybe they saw it late just like we did.
quickly. As he keeps ball over the top.
Here's Hunter.
Opportunity for Hunter, and Hunter has got it. Katie Hunter with AFC Toronto's first. Late in Ottawa. But there might just be some life for the Torontonians.
And as organized as Ottawa has looked, they get burned there with a beautiful ball. An early ball by Kazaki in behind that springs Kaylee Hunter. And with a composure that belies her 17 years, she's able to calmly walk it around Erickson and just slot it home. And all of a sudden, a minute left of stoppage time and a lot more urgency.
One more minute to the boot. Played into the middle and finally one back. Allen plays to Small. Toronto needs to push for the equalizer. Toronto. Down the far side has won a throw-in, but time is of the essence here.
Yeah, shepherded out a play by Harris. And the Desi Scott now is off the pitch. So you need somebody else to be organized, somebody else to be vocal.
Zosky plays back. Over the top of the penalty area. Barnett not far off. We've reached the 5-minute final seconds, and it is over. The Ottawa Rapid FC celebrate an opening win. Mina Reeves and Desiree Scott give Ottawa the offense it needs for its first ever 3 points.
But Katrina Peterson had talked about the advantage that she felt they had tactically, having seen AFC Toronto. And I think that their game plan was executed to perfection. They were organized, they were resolute defensively, they were smart, they were efficient, and they really found the vulnerabilities in AFC Toronto in their defensive shape and hit them hard in attacking transition. And Kaylee Hunter scored the first ever goal for AFC Toronto. Great to see through the really promising youthful talent for their side, but a little bit too late for AFC Toronto.
Some late drama, but it is Ottawa winning its home opener. The winner from Desiree Scott.
This Northern Super League match is supported by Westland Insurance, coverage that goes further. She just got her ear in, Kev. This Northern Super League match is supported by DoorDash, proud founding partner of the NFL. Welcome back to the NFL on TSN, brought to you by BMO. After the Ottawa Rapid defeated AFC Toronto 2-1 in their NFL debut. Those are some happy faces right there. And Amy, listen, lots to talk about here, but let's start with our Toyota drive of the match, recognizing tonight's best strike on net. This was Mina Lee. This was a thing of beauty. I mean, we talk about a drive of the match. This was the perfect drive.
Yeah, Mina Lee has been touted as this technically gifted, adept player, also tactically astute, but just a magician with the ball at her feet. So she gets that great line-breaking pass from Ellen Gibson to set it off, and then you get a great run by DB Pridham to back the back line off of her. She keeps driving into the space, keeps full control, finds some space with her right foot, and then a seeing eye shot that I think the goalkeeper sees a little bit too late. Manners unable to get a paw to it. Just a great individual moment of brilliance from Mina Lee.
I love what you said in the call. This is indicative of what she'll bring to the league.
100%. This is one of these players that you want to hold up, and then you've got a highlight reel now to back it when you're talking about her.
And check out Katrina Pettis. She's so happy, Katrina Peterson, after that win, and she has every right to be. You know who else was happy today? Desi Scott with that second goal. I could hear the emotion in your call, Amy. You said you could talk about her for 90 minutes. I'll give you 90 plus.
I know we don't have that time right now in post game, but I mean, you saw also Katrina Peterson be thrilled for Desi Scott. You had a stadium of people at TD Place, but I think across the country, people are like overwhelmed, you know, with gratitude for what she's offered this game, but now she joins it and is one of these big time names that you need as that link for the fan of the game and for the new fans for NSL. And then she gets rewarded for it. So she comes off of Manor, creates that space, gets the flick off of the initial header, and then she was not going to be denied Kate McKenna here. She gets the initial touch, and then I think you see Hey G put up a little bit of a fight. But Desi Scott, who has almost 200 caps for country, I think Matt's at 187 if I'm not mistaken, no goals yet in Canadian strip, but on her first day performing for the Ottawa Rapid, she scores a goal.
You can just feel her emotion through the screen. You're right. I think the whole country, regardless of who you cheer for, is happy for her. But let's talk a little bit about Toronto for a second, because this was a team that was touted as having a very strong roster.
Yeah.
2 games, 2 losses. Where do they go from here? What needs to be better?
We talked about the lack of attacking fluency in the first game where they put the pressure on the Montreal Roses, were unable to translate that into a goal. You saw the same thing today, but it was disjointed. It was a little bit clunky. It was a little bit disconnected. So you saw some brightness. You saw some players perform quite well. But they didn't really have the numbers around the ball. They didn't threaten consistently. They were able to get into the box. You know, the stats, the amount of touches they had in the box that well exceeded Ottawa's. And you have the well-timed process, but again, final moment, whether that was decision-making, or that was a pass, or a touch, or a shot, it just lacked ruthlessness, it lacked conviction from them. So they're going to go back to the drawing board, as I said in the call. They have the pieces, they have the roster depth, they have the class, but they're just lacking in execution. And you see here, I think we freeze-framed it right before that ball was crossed. And I do believe she looks offside, but at the moment that the ball is touched and we don't have the angle on it, it's very, very tight.
Here's what's happening at TD Place. The drums are being banged. The team is celebrating. You know, it was interesting what Katrina Peterson said to us, that she might be a bit nervous ahead of this game, Amy. She said she might have to take a little jog up the canal just to ease her emotions, but she's got to be happy after this one.
She does, and these moments here, you know, are going to be part of planting that seed for what it means to be a fan of the Ottawa Rapid, what that fan culture looks like, and the connection between the players and the city and their fan base and growing that community. So this is day 1 of it here. They were able to walk off the pitch with a win in their back pocket, and I think it goes a long way to calming those nerves from the coach and giving her confidence that she's making the right choices herself and doing the right things as a club.
Well, a special day for Ottawa fans as well. And listen, the woman we want to talk to, Desiree Scott, she's standing by with our Camila Gonzalez for the WestJet Pitchside Chat.
Desiree Scott, first ever professional goal in your entire career, and you scored it in front of your hometown crowd. Walk us through that moment.
Man, this has been a very long time coming. It's been a running joke that I can't retire until I've scored, so this is my announcement. No, I'm joking. But no, I'm just so, I couldn't have written it better. Our team showed up today, and to get a goal on our opening match, inaugural season, it's just everything I could have dreamed for.
First win, first match. How was the energy like at TD Place?
Energy was lit. I didn't know what the crowd was going to be like, and they showed up today. Ottawa showed up, and they showed what a sporting city this is. Women's soccer is here, and I'm so happy to have been a part of this today.
So Quinn scored in the inaugural match. You scored tonight. Two icons for Canadian soccer. Just talk to us about this feeling of knowing that there is a women's professional league right here at home, and you get to make history with it.
This is incredible. This is what dreams are made of, and the fact that, Quinn's, the Desiree Scotts, we're here to make an impact and help that next generation. So to have that in the opening matches, to lead the way and really just instill that energy and passion for the sport here is incredible.
And as a veteran, you obviously had a lot of young teammates out on the field tonight for their first ever professional match. How did that feel seeing them? What do you think you saw from them moving forward this season?
I think, there were nerves in the first 20 minutes, but that's to be expected. This is the very first time we're all playing together. I thought we really settled into the match, and I'm so proud of the effort, the determination of what we displayed there on the pitch tonight.
Congratulations once again. I'm going to let you celebrate with the team. Congrats.
Thank you so much.
Well, what a game, and to think we are just getting started today. If you want more NFL action, you can catch another match right now as the Vancouver Rise hosts the Montreal Roses. You can catch it on RDS, CBC Gems, and NFL.ca. Well, we're putting that game to bed, but I do want to give a special shout-out to our producer, Kev Coran, and his wife, who welcomed a baby girl named Quinn on the first day of the NFL season when Quinn scored a goal. Pretty magic.
There was nothing more perfect than Quinn scoring that inaugural goal and a baby named Quinn.
See you next time, everybody.